It looks a lot narrower now, so it's fine. I think you're good. The door barely opens. We could have gotten out of the door, but we don't like the easy way, do we?
No.
Okay. Ah no, this side not really. The other side is fine. Hey.
Bye.
Yeah, another one. Good morning, comrades. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the Nürburgring. As promised, today we're gonna tell you about the damage on the Cupra. We are here at Tyre Trade Center. Before that, I went with the 993 to Manthey-Racing to drop off the car. Gonna miss it, but I'm sure we will have a lot more content with that car in the future. But for now, that's it for this year. About Cupra, why is it a Tyre Trade Center? Because first of all, we suspect, we're actually pretty much certain that the subframe has shifted on the rear side. That's why we brought it here, to measure the alignment with the laser measurement system, to show to the insurance basically that the subframe has shifted and needs replacing. So we're gonna have a look what actually has happened here, and then go back to Apex, where I'm gonna tell you more together with George what the damage is. Yes, Manthey-Racing van got a fresh set of winter tires, very important. So how's it look like? Six.
Komplett.
What do we have? 0.7 off? Extra. Almost 4.5 degrees camber, that's good.
Good on the left turn.
Oops.
0.3 on the camber on the rear, and the toe is, yeah.
Yeah, 0.2.
Well, if the subframe moves like a couple of millimeters, then obviously it's going to move more.
Mm.
You move your arm 2 mil this way, your arm moves 2 centimeters this end.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's easier than the trunk. Now, before we get back to Apex and tell you more about the Cupra, we made a quick stop at the Mühlenbachschleife, where in 2.5 weeks' time, by the time this video gets released, probably a bit less, the World Rallycross Championship will be taking place over here on 27th and 28th of November, so Saturday and Sunday. And you can get your tickets now, and by using Misha 20 discount code you get 20% off. It's going to be exciting, it's going to be interesting, because even if it snows, unlike any other event on the Nürburgring, this will go on. So I hope it will snow, and we will see amazing, breathtaking action here. Spectators are allowed, obviously, anywhere here on the grandstands. Moreover, there will be like a special fan village over there where you can buy some food, check out maybe some merchandise, but most importantly, enjoy the action. I will also be there, so I will be hoping to meet you here. I'm also excited to see the cars go the so-called Joker lap, where over there, over the gravel, instead of over the normal tarmac. So you know what, let's go quickly down there, check it out, and yeah, then proceed to checking out the rest of the damage of the Cupra. As you can see, we are obviously on track, but we're actually driving in the opposite direction. This is also what will be happening during the actual race. They will be driving the track in reverse, and sometimes they will go on a tarmac, and sometimes they will have to go straight on the so-called Joker lap, and then at some point they will both meet up over there. So when you will be buying tickets, I think it's going to be pretty cool to get one of those grandstands in the Goodyear corner. Yeah, before it was Dunlop corner, but now it's called the Goodyear corner. And I guess with such a end of season race where the championship will be decided on this double header, it's definitely going to be a good year. And on that bad joke note, let's proceed back and check out the Cupra. Just leave it off, I think. Yeah, but now the car is flickering. Alright, all the bad jokes about the lightning aside, let's talk about the damage of the Cupra. When we first published the pictures, a lot of people commented for a very good reason when the bumper was still on it, like, it actually doesn't look too bad because it has a bit of a damage here, but the other side was okay. Here it's all fine. On the back, well, when the bumper was on, it looked okay. The exhaust was kind of hanging loose, so shouldn't be too bad, and especially considering the fact that the accident happened in Vauxhall, it's actually not that bad at all. But actually, I think is quite bad, right, George?
Clapped.
So talk us through what are the issues. First of all, I'm happy that the oil cooler that you installed is still okay.
The first thing I noticed, I was like, oh, the oil cooler's still on. Let's go. Yeah, I mean, obviously front left impact, so crash bar has done its job. It's crumpled, but in doing so, the bottom corner of the chassis rail's caught and it's pushed the whole chassis rail over. So the piece that crash bar is bolted to, that is a rail that comes basically from here under the car all the way forward, and it joins the rest of the chassis. That is now bent. So going with the alignment that we done to clarify how bent it was, because obviously the subframe bolts roughly in line with this, probably like here, I would say, and it bolts close to the body. But obviously if you move your arm this much this way, it's still going to move this end somewhere. Yeah. So it's obviously moved over a tiny bit, which has moved the geometry over and everything over. So yeah, that's the main sort of hit. That's like, oof. Once that moves, obviously your crash bar, this is a whole frame. There's one piece. It's a whole like rectangle frame that bolts across, which is obviously bolted to the other chassis rail, which has obviously pushed this whole corner over. So that's why the gap in the fender is like huge here now and touching up here, because the whole bottom has basically moved like this. But I'm not an expert on this, but it's just looking at what we're looking at. So yeah, before any experts start piping up in the comments.
Yeah, so that's why it's more than just the headlight, the bonnet, and the bumper.
Yeah, it's not just the crash bar. It's a hard hit. The crash bar's done its job, and this shows how well the cars do in crashes like that. Because I don't know how fast he was going. How fast we go? What, 150, 200?
Well, yeah, exactly between
Obviously,
that.
the impact will probably be more towards the 150s, though, right?
Yeah, because I think through the bottom you go with like roughly 200 in the wet conditions, and then then you slow down, you scrub some speed off by trying to overcorrect it. So I would say towards 150, yeah. So
for that impact, it's done well. It's done its job. On a road car, normally, this would be like, it's rare that you manage to keep control of it. In most situations, it's a head-on they plan for. Yeah. In which case, it would have been a push the front rails in, and it would have been a bit more of a mess. But obviously, don't know the full situation, but it's obviously done pretty well to narrow down the damage of what's done already. So
the hood lock also jumped out.
Yeah, it's snapped out completely. Yeah. Well, they're both still in though, which is good. It shows we've done a good job putting these pins in. So yeah, this rail you can't see because all the wiring looms in the way. I'm not going to strip it out just yet, but you can see that it's over. You can see that this silver crash, the chassis rail's over.
Now, in case someone in the comments decides to ask, like, what if you have put the cage straight through to the towers? It made absolutely no sense because it's a different impact area, right? Yeah, so it's just...
It would have made no difference.
No, exactly.
These, if you ever crash, in most cars, these chassis rails will move. Yeah. Like if it's a big hit, because it's bolted here. This can only crumple so much, and this obviously has crumpled so much, and it's pushed it under anyway, so... It's not a big job to pull out. The thing is, if you pull the chassis rail... I got it.
Yeah, okay.
If you pull the chassis rail out, then the chances are it'll pull... That should pull out fine, and it won't have any issues, but I've seen before when they've been pulled out, they crack in places. Once it cracks, then that whole section needs to be cut out and a new one welded in. But that's obviously what you do on the jig. Once the car goes on the jig, Then they'll take all the crash bar off everything, do all the measurements, and then pull it straight. Once it's pulled straight, then they can check the body for cracks. So they'll crack test it and do what they need to do.
Yeah. So that's it regarding the front. The most damage is the chassis.
I mean, the wheels weren't touched. The wheels were literally just like rubbed where it's like grazed. These are not the wheels that are on. These are wheels we put on for the trailer. But the wheels weren't touched. They weren't buckled. Nothing. It's literally the impactee chassis. So there's no direct suspension hit. But obviously
on the inside, it was interesting to see that the footwell airbag popped out.
I mean, yeah, we'll do that big of impact.
Yeah.
Obviously,
I didn't even know we had one.
yeah. Because there's nothing there. You know, it's if something did happen with your legs can still fly around. So we kept
it's good.
Airbag in. Obviously, the others have to be deactivated because of the roll cage. So So yeah, that's the front anyway.
Then the back.
Well, the back, obviously, he went in, hit the front left, and went in, and then went backwards in, and there was like a straight hit, and you can see it was like the tow hook was bent over. There's a crease here. You can see where it's creased in.
Yep.
And if you look closely at where the roll bar bolts to the body, if you look on the left, there's a bolt out, so you can see it easier. Look on the left side of the crash bar.
Where, here?
Down low, here's a bolt out.
Yeah.
So you can see on the witness mark of where it used to be and the bolt out, how far it's moved.
Wow, so from here.
So it's hit this right side, and it's pushed the whole lower half over to the left. So as you can see by the witness marks on the crash bar.
Yeah, you can see that's what I mean. Yeah, that's something else. Ignore that.
On the left hand side where the bolt hole is, you can see where it's moved against the undersill.
Yeah.
So that's obviously moved the whole bottom half of the car over, which is dragged over in turn. This panel being the rear quarter, so there's touch in here, and on the other side there's a big gap.
Yeah.
The top of the tailgate isn't terrible. It's basically how it was before, so you can see it's all lower half damage, just pushed it over.
And with that, just like on the front, it also pushed the subframe.
Yeah, and obviously the same as that, because the exhaust, where the exhaust bolts up, because you saw the exhaust in the pictures, it was all bent under and everything. It's obviously taken the big hit there, and it's moved in turn. It's moved the subframe as well, because the subframe only bolts where you probably be able to see it under there just. So it's moved that over a few millimetres, which again, you move a few millimetres this end moves double. Yeah. Because of the distance. So yeah, it's not a case of just put some new bumpers on and a new crash bar, it's fine. It needs to be going on a jig, and when it goes on a jig, I mean, for the chassis rail, they'll probably need the engine out. I mean, there's a few bits that it's going to need. It's probably going to need to go back to a bare shell.
Wow.
Apart from interior, just because they need to check for the cracks on the chassis and everything else. So, but we'll see. We'll speak to the body shop and we'll see how they want to do it, because it saves me a lot of work if I don't have to take engines out and if I don't have to mess around with stuff. Because Volkswagens, Audis, Seats, everything, they all unbolt. This front panel comes off, and then this whole rad pack comes out as one unit. So we can pretty much easily remove the whole front.
So it's going to be a big winter project then.
I mean, on top of all our winter projects, it's going to be another one, that's for sure.
I guess that's pretty much it. We haven't decided what we're going to do with the car. Yes, we are going to rebuild it because it is rebuildable, but we don't know yet if we're going to go like beyond. Since we're already going to rebuild it, why don't you go a bit more extreme? Maybe drive VLN NLS next year, go in a higher class, because RCN was kind of, in a way, this car was too fast. Like there was no challenge, so to say. Just one more thing before I say goodbye. I'm sure a lot of people want to know what are the dynamics when it comes to liability and responsibility. The car has been insured for racing, and actually the liability, the excess is significantly lower than it would have been for TF. So in a way, racing is more affordable, or say crashing is more affordable in racing than it would be on TF or on track days. But the liability is always with the driver, like with any cases. So that's all I have to say for today. If you have any other further questions, comments, as always, drop them in the comments below. And stay tuned, as we will be rebuilding it and probably building into something faster, spicier, more interesting, more exciting, with a different purpose over winter. So that's our winter content sorted. Yes, still need to talk about this, but maybe in some other video, maybe tomorrow with Robert, we'll see, and George. So thanks for
3 degrees. Can we go inside?
Yeah, let's go inside. It's way too cold. And it's also raining, and because winter is coming. I think it's going to be snowing on the weekend, they say.